All right, I am told I am good to go. Welcome, everybody. It is a wonderful Thursday. Actually, it's raining here in the New York City area, but that is okay. It's still a good day. I don't mind a little rain. Helps everything grow. Just like we're growing into this election season, and that really portends a lot of wonderful things. And people keep asking me, Frank, what's your prognostication? At the end, and tell you right up front. The good news is when we trade, when we put together trades, everybody here at Option Pit, no matter if it's Andrew and me, Mark Sebastian, Leisha Leslie, whoever it is that is putting together trades, while we look at the political climate and we have that inform us, in the end, we don't care who's in power. We look at the trades and how we're going to make money for you in any kind of political and market environment, up markets, down markets, Democrat control, Republican control. We're going to put good trades on to help make you money. And I'll tell you, we just have to do it from a trading standpoint, because right now, if you are betting on the race, it's too close to call. Every single day, a new poll's coming out. Harris is up. Trump is up. Really too close to call. What I would say is, if you look at the 7 key battleground states, that is telling a little bit of a picture. Trump is still up in, I think, 5 of the 7, the last poll that I saw. He was up in almost all 7 when Biden was still in the race. So Harris is gaining on him. And, and even those, where a couple where he's ahead, it is really too close to call. So it's coming down to be a nail biter. And, nothing is going to, nothing makes me more happy than election season. It is just a ton of fun. The House, same thing. It could flip. Every day you're hearing different news about, where it's, is it the Republicans are going to keep the House? Are the Dems going to take it back? Same thing on the Senate side. It's a 1-seat majority for the Dems. So, boy, that could flip. Everything is up in the air. It is truly the Wild West of election seasons going on right now. Some of the state stuff is kind of fun, though. I mean, what's going on in North Carolina, crazy. For the governor's, the governor house there, full sex scandal. Mayor of New York today just got indicted on bribery. Most of his cabinet's gone. You got people screaming for for him to immediately resign. So there's a lot of fun on the local level happening, but on the national stage, it is still too close to call. But we're gonna break that down a little bit. Look at how the markets, what different sectors of the markets will do well depending on which candidate wins in November. And then we'll also I'll go through a little bit about capital gains, the product that Andrew and I trade together, and tell you how it's been doing. Again, I'm spoiler, it's been doing great. So that's that is pretty exciting stuff. So we're gonna we want to get everybody fired up moving into election season, and really start looking at let's just jump in and look at the current state of the economy and the financial markets. And look, past elections, we can read the tea leaves and see how they are going to impact trading. Just look at what happened 4 years ago when Biden won the election. The minute he won, we knew before any policy was passed, because don't forget there's that nice little waiting period between the peaceful transition of power when the new administration takes over. But we knew that it was going to be heavy on putting an end to a lot of the policies that Trump had put in place. And we knew that there would be a massive, massive green energy push. So going back 4 years ago, Andrew and I had some great trades. We had a couple of 100% bangers where we played that green energy transition game. But we got out pretty quickly because those are just rumored trades. There were no fundamentals that were going to drive those green stocks. They were just getting bumped on the rumors, on new policies that were coming out. One of the things that we really like to do is look at the flow of money from DC to Wall Street, but do it with a little bit of the insider knowledge that I bring to the table. I worked on Capitol Hill. I was a lawyer in DC, came to Wall Street, and been working on in Wall Street for over 25 years. But tying in that knowledge that I had, with my time on the Hill and a lot of the connections that I made, both within government, military, some of the agencies, we can then start understanding how the movement of money actually works, right? So when, for instance, just over the summer, we've got an almost $900 billion defense budget. Everyone said, oh my gosh, $900 billion defense budget. And we made a couple of defense trades. But has any of that money leaked into defense companies? No, not yet. That money has not moved. And where it's necessarily moving, we don't know yet. Well, we do. We got some pretty good ideas where it's moving. But we still made some great trades on companies that we know will probably benefit from that. Others, we saw some quick bumps. We got out of them because we knew it weren't fundamentally sound and they weren't really going to benefit, or the money was going to take a really long time to come in. I can tell you that massive defense budget, none of that money has moved into the market yet. None of it. And normally around October 1 is when those defense budgets, it starts creeping down a little bit. So we'll see a little bit of movement of money. The big movement of money has been more, helping to support Ukraine in their war with Russia. And we've seen a lot of, stocks benefit as a result of that. Air Environment, AVAV, we made a great trade around that because they are building Switchblade loitering munitions. Loitering munitions are a one-way drone that go and blow stuff up. They're the makers of the Switchblade, so we knew that they were going to get a nice big bump from the current war. So it's important to understand not only what money flows from DC, the type of money that flows from DC, be it direct budgets, be it tax increases or tax cuts, tariffs like Trump is talking about, but also when it flows. And because that will help you determine, are we making fundamental trades or just trading the rumor of that money? So, from a pure trading standpoint, again, we don't care. We are going to trade and make money in any environment. So what are the different pockets of money? Certainly there's fiscal policy. That's, the spending. When we get these big infrastructure bills like we had 2 years ago, stimulus packages like we had during COVID, lots of money can move into the economy and we can trade that. Regulatory. We can look at the impacts of different regulations on government, the healthcare sector, energy, technology. Certainly if Trump gets in, he's talking about putting tariffs, massive tariffs, particularly on goods coming in from China, that will have an impact on stock performance, and we will monitor how that will, will react. Taxation, certainly, from a Harris standpoint, Trump wants to lower taxes, raise tariffs. Harris is talking about raising, corporate taxes, capital gains taxes, which would, I think, just hurt tremendously. It'll really crush the risk environment for stock investing. We will keep an eye on that. And then you start looking at, specific budgetary items like defense, military, and how that will impact those stocks. But again, government spending, no one spends more money than the U.S. government, and that really helps drive stocks. So let's break it down. If we start looking at different areas that might benefit depending on who will get in, let's start with Kamala Harris. To be blunt, she's not been very transparent about her plans. She keeps mentioning an opportunity economy. Still trying to figure out what that means, but certainly has not been very transparent about her plans, except for corporate taxes and potential capital gains taxes. So from the tax side, she has, but really laying out what her vision is for driving the economy, she's been very shy on that. So what do we look at? We look at what Biden's been doing for the last 4 years, and we extrapolate out that most likely it will be a continuation of the Biden policy scheme under a Harris administration. Yes, there's been a lot. There's been some, newsworthy articles where she's saying she's, not following this plan that he was doing or that plan. Is that more to show she's different from him than actual policy positions? I'm going with the former. Harris right now, Bernie Sanders, said the quiet part out loud a couple of weeks ago. She's saying whatever she needs to do to get votes. So, keep that in mind. Trump's doing the same thing. all politicians do that, so I'm not just pinning on her, but she's not been very forthcoming though, and we're not getting a whole lot of hint beyond continuation of the Biden budget. So obviously, I think green energy stocks are going to continue to do well, particularly solar, wind. They're the Dems are not as big, they're not as friendly towards nuclear power, although over the last year, you've seen a lot of folks in the Democratic Party softening up to that. I think people recognize that you can't have go for a carbon neutral economy without having a substantial amount of your investment in nuclear power. Right now, 28% of the grid is supplied by nuclear power. To be carbon free by 2050, it's estimated that we need at least 50% of the grid being nuclear power at that point. So it's just a reality. You got to accept it and move on. So we'll see that, that continued green energy push from them. Healthcare, they want to do expansions of healthcare access, more subsidies. So that will help both straight up healthcare providers and drug makers. Technology and cybersecurity should see a stronger investment from either side because of the massive amount of intrusion that we have seen from China, from Russia into not only elections, but also shutting down grids. I've lost count of the number of cyber attacks that we've had over the course of the last couple of years. You'll probably see under a Harris administration increased regulation, particularly on big tech and financial institutions. And also some of that ancillarily will be driven by environmental policy, which will put some controls on that. Certainly, I would not want to be in the domestic mining sector if Harris gets to be president, because they've been shutting down a lot of domestic mining over the course of the last 4 years, and that certainly will continue, particularly if Deb Haaland stays at the helm of the Interior Department. If we look at taxes, higher corporate taxes and capital gains taxes will lead to, generally lead to stock market pullbacks. The market can always react like the market reacts, but historically you will see market pullbacks if you get both, higher corporate and capital gains tax rates. So that really is, I think, the 10,000 foot view from a Harris administration. It's interesting with one of the financial regulations that we will certainly be keeping an eye on. You've got crypto making a nice run lately. Will they let Gensler go crazy and try and further regulate that market? He's been slapped down a little bit over this summer on his attempts to regulate. I think people would say over-regulate. What he said is that he will attempt to regulate through lawsuits if he's not allowed to do it through direct legislation. It's kind of like the taking your ball and go home, I guess. I'm not sure, but you're going to see more regulations. If a Trump administration comes in, he's been very clear on certain points, such as increasing tariffs. Again, not as clear as we would like him to see. I don't know about all of you, but I learned pretty much nothing from the debate that the two of them had. Very little, except that they can snipe at each other. People always ask who won. I think Harris did a much better job. She came in better prepared, and I think Trump wanted to blame the moderators, but the fact is he just didn't look as prepared as Harris was, and she kept her cool. He did not. He ended up acting like a hothead Trump. So right now we're not getting a lot of clarity from the two sides. However, we can look and see that you will see more fossil fuel and energy deregulation under a Trump administration. He will try to walk back some of the constraints that the Biden administration has put in over the last few years. You will see a more fossil fuel, friendly policy. So, we've seen oil and gas have been really, really taking a hit lately. You could see more production, possibly see a bump for oil and gas companies with the Trump administration. Defense, defense is an odd one. It's a toss-up because defense companies have been doing great under a Biden-Harris administration. They should continue to do well under a Trump administration, but in a different way, where the Biden-Harris administration is pouring money to support conflicts. Trump has vowed to try and de-escalate some of the conflicts, but what you will then see money pouring into is modernization of existing defense apparatus. So you will still see money pouring into the defense sector. Financial sector should do well. He will move to quash existing regulations, deregulate. I think the banking sector could definitely benefit. Manufacturing and trade, domestically should do well if those tariffs are implemented. Should bring back jobs home. Again, it's kind of funny. You look at both candidates. If I'm a union boss, I'm kind of in a no-lose situation when it comes to either of those candidates. The Biden-Harris camp wants strong unions. Trump with the tariffs will help domestic production, which should help unionize jobs. So, I think a winner under both could be the middle class. Taxes, you will see, Trump, he has talked about lowering corporate tax rate by at least a point. Certainly will keep capital gains taxes low, which will be generally more friendly for the broad stock market. So, I think from a tax standpoint, it could be beneficial for a Trump administration. If Democrats control Congress, particularly the House, if they take it back over, you're going to see increased social program spending, healthcare spending, more infrastructure spending, which again helps manufacturing jobs. I don't have a big problem with infrastructure spending. We need to modernize our grid. It also helps us be more competitive from a domestic supply chain standpoint against countries like China. I think you're going to see, continued environmental regulations, making it much more strict, both for not only traditional, miners, fossil fuel producers, but also some tech industry giants. You will see the green energy impact on tech, and here's a good example. AI is completely changing the landscape of data storage. So if you look at big data storage centers, the prognosticators are saying AI will cause a 10x increase in the need for data storage. That in turn will cause a 10x stressor on the existing power grid. You're going to need power to supply those data storage centers. Where are you getting that from in a green economy? Wind, solar, and nuclear. Andrew and I talked about this on Tuesday, and I'm sure a lot of you saw. 3 Mile Island, the poster child of bad nuclear energy for the United States, going back to the reactor 2 meltdown in 1979. Reactor 1, which had been operational, has been shut down since 2019. It is going to reopen with all of the power dedicated to supplying Microsoft data centers because of Microsoft's AI growth. So you need that kind of dedicated power. That's why I think as well, whether you're talking Biden Harris or Trump, you're going to see the nuclear power industry flourish. Andrew and I have been spending a lot of time really looking at that. We love some of the small nuclear reactor companies as well, not just the big ones, companies like SMR, because you can't build these giant reactors everywhere. They take a long time, minimum 5, most likely 10 years to put a reactor, install it, and bring it online. These small modular reactors, they can be put in more remote areas, can be dedicated power sources for communities, much easier, much more quick to build. So really exciting stuff on the nuclear front going forward, no matter who is in power. And that's really being driven by increases in power consumption from technology companies. So you're going to see, green energy, healthcare, doing well, tech facing greater regulations under a Democrat-controlled Congress. Republicans maintain House control, maybe get Senate control. They're going to try and reduce government spending be put in allegedly more pro-business policies such as tax cuts, ease regulations across industries, fossil fuels, financials. I would think that crypto would do better. You'll see a bigger flurry of crypto ETFs and other trading strategies around that be allowed. So crypto will probably do well. So traditional energy, banking, large cap, very very large cap mining and other companies should do well. If it's a split Congress, if it remains split, you're going to get some policy gridlock like you've had. There's going to be a limited ability to really pass sweeping reforms, particularly if it's very close in one or both of those chambers, and that will create continued market uncertainty, which is what we've seen over the last 12, 18 months. It's just we just don't see what Congress is pushing out and producing. So there's always a potential for compromise, particularly when it comes to defense and infrastructure spending. But we'll have to see about that. So again, Kamala Harris, corporate taxes, public spending, social equity, and labor policies will get a boost. Donald Trump, tax cuts, deregulations, trades and tariffs on foreign entities, particularly China, but that's not, allegedly no one's going to be immune from that. So even some EU trading partners could see that, could get a little black eye over that, which is one of the reasons that a lot of the EU folks are in fact backing Harris. They don't want to see those tariffs. They don't want to see their trade hurt or diminished under a Trump administration. So there's always I think, going forward between now and the election cycle, you're going to see some market, continued market volatility. You're going to see some great trading opportunities because of market volatility. And you're going to see us continuing to look at where those trades are going to occur. And, one of the things I love to look at is, who's backing, each campaign. And if you look at, Harris, for instance, some of the biggest backers for Harris are, Bloomberg. Bloomberg has thrown a ton of money at the Harris campaign. Greylock Partners. You've seen a number of very, very pro, social policy PACs backing her. Unions are, pretty much, behind Harris, particularly the teachers union. Trump is getting a little more from, fossil fuels, some basic domestic industry partners. They are liking that tariff idea for trades. But again, we're going to continue to put some solid trades together for you. I'll just run through a couple with capital gains. We did our drone and rare earth cocktail, recently, which is done well, where we balanced, trades in drone companies against, some rare earth miners, like Mountain Pass, for example, MP Materials is what it's called. They're the only domestic rare earth miner. We need to shore up our domestic supply chain for critical rare earth minerals. We are watching that. They've been getting a pass from the government on some of that mining regulation. So, they've just been getting a little nice boost, and we put a good trade around it. We did it. We looked at 3 Mile Island and did what we called our 3 Mile Island melt up trade, looking at Cameco, which will do a lot of the uranium production and supply for that, as well as Constellation Energy, which will be the actual administrator for the power plant. They got a 20-year dedicated contract with Microsoft. So really, really fun trades. We love spending time here with Andrew and I do a live event once a week with capital gains. And honestly, that's the most fun I have, because we get a lot of feedback, and I love having discussions with the group. And, I'm all about sucking in and taking in as much information as I can, because information is power. And, when you really get a lot of different opinions from different parts of the country, it just better informs the group on what trades might work and what don't. And, we've had a couple situations in capital gains where during the course of our live session, some ideas came up from some of the capital gains members, and it changed our trading strategy, changed how we approached a trade, even flipping the trade from a buy to a sell. So it's a lot of fun. We have a blast. I'm going to be doing these events weekly now, moving into the election, covering a variety of different cycles, and it's going to get more lively. It's going to get more fun as we move forward. And I'd love for you all to join us. Get on board the capital gains trade train, and we're going to have a lot of fun. If I just look over the past few months and year, we've had some great trades. Around companies like CrowdStrike, Occidental Petroleum, just across the board, Air Environment, AVAV, drone makers. We've just been really looking broadly, but I do have my preferences because of my background. We do focus heavily on the defense sector. We focus heavily on minerals and mining, fossil fuels, and of course that dovetails right into green energy policy. So I'd love for you to join us. We're having an absolute blast. We're going to continue having an absolute blast. And please hop on board. I don't have the ability to see questions or anything, but I got a couple of minutes left. I think we're supposed to be wrapping it up, but if there's anything pressing, and Christian, if you can fire a question or two at me, I'd love to handle it. Or come on next Tuesday on the capital gains, and we'll take your questions there. So I'll give it a second. If not, it was a blast. Love talking to everybody. I love this subject. There's nothing more exciting to me than election season, and it's going to be a circus, no doubt. This one will be a circus, but we'll have a little fun watching the circus and watching the clowns and the monkeys. So see where they all end up. And certainly there's a lot happening outside, from local politics to the world stage. As my wife always says, with something weird, she goes, not my circus, not my monkeys. This is my circus. These are my monkeys, and we're gonna have fun breaking it down for you. So thank you very much. Look forward to speaking with everybody again. And like I said, we will be running a weekly series going into the election season. Read my I put out a weekly piece for capital gains, breaking down some markets and stocks. Please sign up for that. Go to Option Pit, take a look at all our trading strategies. We've just got some of the best. I'm so excited. I'm not a trader by nature. I'm a policy guy, and I joined up with Option Pit because of the quality traders they have, and we all talk, we all trade ideas, and we inform one another on a weekly basis. So hop on with Option Pit, whether it's me, Alicia, Andrew, Mark, Sebastian, and let's have a lot of fun. Take care, everybody.